It's the Real Anglers Podcast with community Kevin Brannon, brought to you by AFTCO Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Islands Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. Promar and Ahi USA. Premium fishing products and accessories with concepts developed by passionate anglers. Eagle Claw. American ingenuity and craftsmanship since 1925. Mudhole, the world's largest inventory of rod building and tackle crafting components from the best brands. Mossy Oak. From hot days in the water to sweltering afternoons in the woods, we've got you covered. Outfit your obsession. Special thanks to Subaru of Ventura and the Latino Business Expo. And now, here's your host, Community Kevin Brannon. Barry says, welcome to the Community Kevin podcast. This is the Real Angler podcast with Community Kevin, hero Community Kevin. Got to get that straight. Yep. And we're just doing a recap episode today. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff going on. We're going to talk about a missed guest. Unfortunately, I missed Adam Casillas because I got called out of town and other stuff. But Barry's here to listen and Kevin's here to talk. And we're going to start off.
And Oscar. Don't forget Oscar in the back.
Look at Oscar.
Got Oscar in the back.
It's the headless Oscar.
For our blue carpet premiere.
There he is.
There he is right there, Oscar, right there from Oxnard Boulevard, from Oswald Trophy. Thank you very much for letting us borrow Oscar.
That is a big Oscar.
We don't mean to shoot you the crotch shot, but he doesn't fit into the whole shot. So anyway, bear
He's
with
still
us.
Oscar. He's glorious no matter what.
Yeah, we got that from Oswald Trophy, man. Oswald Trophy was one of the first ones to ever do a Real Anglers Fishing Show banner. When I finally got this little buff, tough little worm on a banner that Adam Casillas subcontracted out to them, and they did it, so I had to go pick it up from them, and then that's kind of how we got to talking, because they were actually doing the printing for our Guppy Ranger program right here that we successfully took care of this year, and that was another one
those.
for
I got one of those, some I had at home.
Yep, developing impactful leaders. So when I was in there getting those taken care of, I started talking about this blue carpet premiere, because I always got about 3 or 4 or 5 projects going on at the same time. And
3, 4, or 5, it's like 10.
And they said, and asked if we could borrow the Oscar for this blue carpet premiere, so they let us borrow him, and we're housing him here until the last one this Friday that we're going to have at the Maritime Museum, the Lights, Camera, Education premiere of Real Anglers Fishing Show, and our partnership with the Upward Bound students out of Channel Islands High School.
Well, let's start talking about that, because you just had the second premiere, which was the blue carpet premiere, which was up at the Gardens, right?
Yep.
And
we had the community Roots Garden guest on here too. Remember?
That's right. They were terrific. They were really good guests. Yes.
Yeah. And then we also had, so the other one that we did, the first one was at the Oxnard Performing Arts Center, and then we had Carolyn Mullen in here from the Performing Arts Center. So see how we really utilize our networking, utilizing our resources, cross-pollinating. The differences, we strategized on the blue carpet premiere on who our partners are going to be, and this next one's going to be at the Maritime Museum here in the Channel Islands Harbor, and that one was one we actually asked the port to come in and help support this particular project on top of their donation that they give us every year as a partnership. That they came on to help with this, because the Channel Islands Maritime Museum has a port section on the second story. There's a big section that's just there, a part of the Port of Wainimi, so we thought that'd be a great place for them to come in and get the spotlight. And then so we're highlighting the museum, another part in the Channel Islands. Those are adventures, places that we take our students and our rangers. We've taken our Guppy Rangers to the port with them to check out the logistics of the port. So we really utilized, and having maybe next time we'll have somebody from the port on as a podcast guest.
We need them.
And just to highlight again our support that we have. And interesting, we'll talk about this ASA summit that I was just at too. And they utilized us. You know what they called us, Scotty?
What's that?
The perfect package.
Wow.
The perfect package.
I can think of worse names.
Yeah, because if you looked at the blue carpet premiere flyer, there wasn't a lot of fishing sponsors on the flyer for this particular event. Now the videos that you're going to see, the episodes, what some of our new sponsors that we got from ICAST and went out there, and then those are the meetings that the interns helped me set up for the meetings out at ICAST, again part of this blue carpet premiere from the business to business side. We got AFTCO is a new sponsor that you see that you run. You're the one that made the commercials for this. You've seen Eagle Claw They're one, and then Daiwa actually once they seen the perfect package, they decided that we're gonna get something dialed in this month for production costs. So not just fishing gear. I've been using their gear for years, but stepping it up from just being a pro staffer in gear to actually monetary support, so that we could go out and film those 12 episodes that we're going to talk about coming out in 2025.
Now, somebody on one of those videos, and it wasn't you, was talking about how your package was the perfect package because there was nothing else like it on the lineup. And you catch that at the very beginning of one of the videos, which we're going to tack on to the end of this particular show. So keep an eye out for these at the end. We're just going to throw on some clips from the ASA, clips and photos that Kevin took there. So listen for that, and you'll hear that to see that Kevin's, he's telling you what really happened there.
Yeah, because that particular slide was, our fishing industry, I've been going to these summits for 4 years and talking about, getting new anglers out fishing, right? To make sure that we're recruiting anglers, right? And so the people that put us up there was RBFF, which is Recreational and Boating and Fishing Foundation, that isn't really keen in on trying to get more anglers fishing, making it seem fun and getting more and capturing more new anglers. So we get that Vamos El Pescar grant for the last couple of years to get Hispanic kids out fishing and their families and retaining them so that they'll go to the store and make purchases for new fishing poles and fishing reels and hooks and weights and crab nets, maybe from Promar, and really start gravitating to making purchases in the recreational fishing industry, right, for manufacturers to continue to grow and license sales and stuff like that. So that particular slide, it was RBFF had the floor the opening morning at the summit, and they just put us in there as one of the perfect packages for how we do recruit. We don't make fishing look like it's got to be this glamorous, expensive lifestyle type of recreation that you can do. Cultural breakdowns. There's a lot of reasons. This America, Scotty, isn't the same old America maybe from 100 years ago or 75 years ago, where John Smith was taking his grandkid fishing and his kid fishing. There's a lot of new culture, especially on the West Coast, where it's not always an economic breakdown, man. It's just kind of having these little clinics to make it seem like you don't need to have a bass boat, you don't need to be a pro angler on a tour or be at some exotic location to really enjoy this recreational fishing thing that we do, or catching monsters, right? Like a picture of somebody holding up a bluegill or a jack smelt or a sand sole or a spider crab is just as exciting to first timers as somebody holding up a big trophy sailfish, maybe in Baja or something like that. Or a couple guys with some big bass with expensive gear again on a tournament. So we do a different model of trying to get of showcasing recreational sport fishing, man, and we were highlighted for that.
We just got back from Bishop, and I don't know if it's fishing season up there or what, but there's a ton of fishermen up there. Mm-hmm. There were people with tons of poles in their cars and what have you. And it's funny that you say that it's not the same as it was 10 years ago or 50 years ago when parents were taking their kids fishing, because maybe I'm just more sensitive of it because we're doing this show now. But it seems to me that I see more fisher people out there, more people with rods, more people standing at the riversides. But it is something that needs to be continually pumped up, and people need to be reminded how much fun fishing is, right?
But what you're talking about there is probably a lot more traditional fishing. Again, that's an area of people that have probably been going up there to that area.
That is true.
If you were to look at the demographic and you were to do a survey there to say, hey, how long have you been fishing? I bet you would get a lot of those John Smith types that come from that have been making this as a tradition for a long time, if you were to pull that particular fishery, right? And that's another thing, is there's different fisheries. You have trout fishermen that love that stuff. You have big game tuna fishermen that love the 13-day trip. You have kayak fishermen that love decking out their kayaks and going out to the breakwall. You got surf fishermen that love just surf fishing. So you have these different fishing pockets as well, and that's something that we like to highlight too. So we have 3 trips coming up next in 2025 to go up there and fish that area. So we can talk about some of that to see again, but also to highlight the guides that are up there, because I'm not going to go up there and showcase that I know everything about that area, because I could catch calico bass and barracuda and rockfish in the Channel Islands region. I'm going to go up there and get me a guide to showcase what happens there. So that way, again, if maybe an 18-day trip or something, looks more exotic on some of the episodes that we do, that you could see, you could take a family vacation up to that area and get a guide or a service, and they could show you some of the basic trout fishing that goes on there that doesn't have to be such a, glamour. Plus, it might only be a couple of hours. You don't want to be on a boat for 12 hours fishing. You're not ready for that. Maybe you just want 2 hours out of your day to go out and do it. Because I do notice too, man, when we take a lot of these first-time anglers out, like let's say we took out Afro Outdoor the other day, right? They were down in Point Magoo, and some people that just put their rod down and wanted to just sit by the seashore with their feet in the sand for 20, 30 minutes and then fish again. They didn't need to be casting over and over. Now, we had a couple people that stayed in the water the whole time. But see how there's a difference in the range of the type of
individuals angler? Being individual.
Right. So then again, when you do that kind of stuff up there in that beautiful place that you're at, you're looking at the fall trees and the colors. It's the experience and the smells and the odors and the aromas and the smell of mud and creek that are just as important to highlight for your adventure and your exploration and adventuring than it is, again, and then you catch this nice, beautiful brook trout or something, and you figured out, again, the problem solving of what bait worked best and, stuff like that. So
yeah. Well, let's get back on track here because we did want to talk about the Latinus Business Expo.
Yes. So what?
The Latin Business Expo.
Latino.
It's Latino business.
Yeah.
I forgot my O.
Yep.
Yep.
That's all right.
Anyway, the Latino Business Expo is next week, right?
This week. Thursday.
It's this Thursday?
Yeah, that's
there's a mixer tonight at Limon y Sol.
Yep. So there's a mixer tonight, and then we try to get Adam on Wednesday, but since again it's the day before his expo, he's just so caught up that he didn't want to give up an hour of his time to designate here when he needs to be at the fairgrounds setting up 100 tables.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
And they between the Latino Business Expo, he's the one that put on the West Coast Outdoor Expo that was here. He really is tentative to his vendors and getting everything lined up. So he's not gonna take an hour that could jeopardize making sure that the product that they deliver for their vendors and the attendees, he's going to lock it in and not compromise his time. So it's very understandable. But again, if you've been to any of his expos or you've been to that one that they did the first time that they did the West Coast fishing one, and anything that needed to be fixed, him and his team took care of it the day of or by the next day to make sure that everything was smooth for all the vendors that were there, to make sure they had an enjoyable time and that they come back.
I was so impressed with the work they did that day because that was a big project.
Yeah.
And they were on top of it the whole way.
Not bad for, again, when you have a concept, right? So you've done enough expos, but when you're dealing with a different type of vendor, you know what I mean? Like fishing and the product that they have to bring in and selling it on the property versus, you don't really, the Latino Expo is more networking, getting to know people and product and services, where people are actually selling their product at the West Coast show. So they got to make sure that they're getting people walking by their booths and the changing and a different kind of environment that you're in. And again, to make sure that, they maximize people's time when they're out here and trying to get them as many sales or representation that they possibly can from all the different attendees,
Right, yeah. And that's already set up for next year, too. It's going to be in August of 2025. And
May.
I don't have the
May.
May?
Come on, man.
I don't even have that on here.
May. It was the first weekend of May.
May.
Yeah, they do it the first weekend of May.
And so anyway, it's already set up. It's already lined up. So I don't know if you probably can't get tickets yet, but you can follow the process on the website and other places. And so
guess who's going to have a podcast there again this year? We are. Yeah, we did. We had a really good turnout. They liked our podcast, the way that we just went outside again. And, we have a concept of what we do. We didn't have the best audio. We had a table outside, people pulling up in our shop.
We couldn't do it inside, yeah.
And we couldn't do it inside because of the noise. But next year they're looking at having maybe a press section to where we'll be able to interview people. We're going to be there regardless, but again, how we could see that interviewing the people that, and the way we did it, 8 back-to-back interviews over a 2-hour course
worked great.
Was really good. And again, and the variation from everybody that we interviewed, right, from how to get your boat detailed with the detail chicks to different services that they have, from fishing to fishing rod specialists to Santa Barbara sport fishing. We had a collective group there to showcase that, again, in these industries, it's not just somebody holding a fishing pole or hardcore anglers, that there's a lot of different little moving parts that go into fishing, from apparel and all that. But anyway, we'll be there again in May.
Looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. And so tonight is the mixer for the Latino Business Expo. It is at Limon y Sol in Ventura, nice little place.
And that's where the after party will be on Thursday
as
well.
Really?
So when you're done at the Latino Expo, you can go over there.
The expo itself is Thursday, which is a blast. It's not only a blast, you get to meet a lot of interesting people that you can help in business, people that can help you in business. And
food.
It's
and
like tons of incredible food. And the thing I like about it best is it's like a bunch of friends getting together to talk about business. Don't you feel that way about it? It's
super friends. It's a family reunion.
Yeah.
And that's what Adam likes to, again, put on. If you go, we did the mixer the other day with the chamber, and just the difference is that it's not such a stiff event, right? You can have a little bit of alcohol, good food, you're mingling, go around the vendors, talk to them. And there's not a real sense of urgency, right? So you could stop and talk to people at their booths while you're snacking on your food, take a break, go eat a little bit, then come back to it. It's not like just where you're just walking through table. You're kind of grooving and going with the whole vibe that he's created there. And that's why he does his networking event that way, just to be a little bit different from some of the more chamber type events with nothing wrong with them. We love our chamber, but just saying how there's a different vibe of this type of networking versus just strictly business to business networking.
Yeah,
So,
it's a great event, and you can get tickets. Just go to the website and contact Adam, and you can probably figure out some way to get tickets. And everybody's invited, by the way. It's open to the public, so it's
you know what I noticed last year, and this is what I like about when we go to ICAST too. Myself being a visionary and a dreamer is like to talk to the. This is a good place if you're starting a business and you want to be an entrepreneur or a pioneer to kind of be surrounded by them and just I even at the summit this last weekend I always seem to get to have conversation with other new inventors. That's a new term I've been using this year, like being an inventor. I think when I started watching that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie, the newest one, watching again when you invent something and the trials and error and the things that go along with being an inventor, solopreneur, right? You're doing these things. You're coming out of your garage. You're coming out of your kitchen. Whether you're a cook or you're designing something that the people can use, a commodity, right? And it's a good chance to get to talk to other solopreneurs and other entrepreneurs and visionaries to pump you up and get you excited about it, right? And that's part of networking too, is kind of just refilling your cup with other inventors or people that, and for me, I always, because we're fearless, right? We're real fearless in what we do, right? Not careless, but fearless. So we'll take those calculated risks and we'll take those risks. And that's one of the things that what our keynote speaker talked about on Wednesday was to experiment, man. And that part of fishing is experimenting, right? Just don't over experiment. Sometimes I tried lures that I knew weren't going to work, but I just had to try it anyway, right? Your probability might not be as good as if you try what's already true, right? But don't be afraid to experiment and try. So let's say these fly fishermen up there in the Bishop where you're at, right?
Yeah.
They're experimenting in their houses, trying to create these little flies that mimic the flies that they're going to match the hatch, we call it, right? So they're going to try to mimic these, and they're going to be trying experiments in their garage to make this little lure that they're going to use to fish. And when they catch a fish on something that they've created, it's a difference than a purchase bought jig when something that you put together and you knew it worked and people might not have doubted it or whatever. So that's kind of like the Latino expos and these the summit, and the ICAST thing is when you get to meet people that are out of their garage that are really giving it a try and then spending a few minutes talking with them to be like, okay, I'm not the only crazy one out here believing in what I can do. And that's kind of the fun part too, is talking to other visionaries,
It's kind of like Willie when we talked to Willie at the sport fishing event. That's
Big Willie.
That's kind of his story. His story is like I needed to do this for myself, and now he's selling the things that he's discovered.
Yeah, and he was experimenting in his garage with different plastics and molds, and then look at now he's holding it down. He's been in the game as long as I've been in here, and I've seen people come and go. And me and Willie, I think he was my first interview ever at ICAT, at Fred Hall, right? All those years ago, it was Big Willie, and now he has a storefront. He's at shows. He's traveling. He was just like in Hawaii or something. And again, because he just experimented it and gave it a try. And that's part of the business aspect of going into it. Again, maybe everybody to listening to this isn't in business. They're just listening. But for those that are thinking about their invention, because everybody in their mind got an idea and an invention that they would love to chase and work on. And then there's me trying to brainwash you into experimenting and pulling the trigger and giving it a try.
That's what works.
You know what I call it? This is the helicopter. This is the parachute analysis. Okay, Scotty?
I'm with you.
So I'm the guy on your back. When you're gonna jump out of a plane, there you have a tandem, right? There's a guy on your back, and he says, on the count of 3, we're gonna jump. He goes 1, and he pushes him out of the aeroplane, because when you get to 3, they'll pull back. They'll be like, no, like second guessing it, because it's a little bit different jumping out down at the floor versus. When you open it up, I remember hearing Will Smith talk about this, right? Like he was gun ho, and then he got up to the plane, and that door slid open, and it was like, nah, I don't know if he really. This is a lot more. This is for real. So again, what the instructor will do is trick you, and he'll go on the count of 3, and then so that's what I do. I just like pushing out the go.
Let's go. That's where let's go comes from.
That's it, man.
All right. So you were at the ASA Summit?
Yes, sir.
Down in San Diego, right?
Yep, it was in our backyard this year.
Let's hear about that.
So ASA is American Sport Fishing Association. When we go to ICAST, you have to be an ASA member. But the summit is different. The summer is a lot of your industry leaders. You get a chance to talk with them. There's 2 days of committee meetings. There's some keynote speakers that come in. And then everything from government policy to business, getting anglers to R3 program recruitment, and just these different areas, marketing for ASA itself to try to get our products, or now that we have merchandise and our workbooks and stuff that we put into the new product showcase. And if you've seen you haven't not seen the ICAST video, because we're holding on to a whole lot of videos to put out once we get through this blue carpet premiere. But you'll see the new product showcase and how big it's gotten, of people trying to, hard jigs, soft jigs, everything, right? Everything across the board, boats. So ASA is trying to help to again broaden anglers awareness. And then you have a group like RBFF, which is Recreation and Boating and Fishing Foundation, where they partner, and some of the terminal tackle sales that when you buy tackle, a penny or two goes into this fund, and then that's what helps circulate to get more anglers out. Kind of like with our fishing license, where a certain percentage goes to like our white sea bass pins and stuff that we do for science. So people's like, oh, I'm paying more taxes. Well, some of your tax dollars actually go to programs and services to get more people out fishing. So again, you get to learn more of that at ASA, and I'm always loving to learn. So for me to go and listen and hear what the industry is saying and what we bring to the industry of getting new anglers out, but also me being a commodity myself and looking for sponsors for the TV show for production, or getting our stuff out. Like I ran into a guy from Walmart, and he's in charge of tackle, and them figuring out like everything that you find in a Walmart store from East Coast to West Coast might look the same, but the fishery is different, right? And how they put their gear out. And then does the person at Walmart that goes, when you go into that department store, you go to electronics, and that person might know about electronics, but when you go into the fishing department or outdoor, does that representative know what to get you outfitted for? And it's probably not. So where are the different breakdowns and how all this stuff plays into recreational fishing and instruction and selling tackle and keeping our industry going? So that's what ASA is. That's what the summit is about. And then again, you get to meet a lot more of the decision makers at lunch and at the banquets and at the different, man, we had a luau there dude, it was like a family reunion. We've been going to ICAST for 8 years. I've been at the summit for 4 years, and they know Community Kev, man, and having the big names introducing me to other big names. And when I go to this particular event, I'm going there more with my listening ears on.
Yeah.
And then people pulling me aside and say, hey, we heard that you're doing this. And again, just part of our strategy of like collecting all that contact info, and then sending out our newsletters and sending, how we personalize certain emails to who to stay in front of, and how to maximize our efforts with the short staff that we have, to make sure that we are maximizing the day that we go to ICAST and down the line, right? And really seeing that pay for it, like to see it presented and how we're presented at these events is pretty extravagant, man, and not having to run up there to try to pitch or sell ourselves for advertisers for the fishing show. But again, what do we mean? What a Kevin Brannon, and I don't talk about myself in the third party a lot, but just what my passion for the fishing industry is first and foremost. And the summit is a lot more of those type of people. Even though they have products to sell them what they're doing, they're really to make sure that that our industry is doing well, in all aspects.
And I could tell that Kevin brought all of his usual energy to this show, because there was one post by somebody who I don't know, but they had a picture of them posing with Kevin, and it said, "We'll never forget this guy."
Yeah, that's the RBFF.
That was nice.
This guy.
That was very nice to see that.
Yeah,
so
they said we're the poster child for what they're trying to do in the industry.
Hey,
and,
you know what? That's you couldn't get better praise than that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And to showcase that with limited resources, imagine what we could do with the right resources, or enough resources, And that's kind of like our blue carpet premiere when we're showcasing that. Is that to showcase that if we had somebody holding the camera and it wasn't me holding it, and we had the right audio, and we did a setup to do a talking head segment, and we did some pre-production just to kind of get an idea. So we got to post-production. It wasn't just random film that was shot versus me just filming and capturing on the boat while I'm still trying to fish and helping volunteer on a certain day that I'm still able to capture some footage and then turn it into an episode. So if we had an editor that we could give the footage, we could get it out quicker than me trying to edit around running a nonprofit at the same time. And if we had somebody holding the camera, and I could do more interviews and species identification, and the nerdy Mr. Rogers, LeVar Burton on the other side of the camera can look like, right, if we had the right resources in play. And then also developing those students and those fishermen to showcase to take something away from it, the developmental part, just like in fishing, right? So that way because pier fishing is the gateway drug. Maybe bring out to the pier, next thing you know, and then you are going on a sport boat, right? So you are going out with Fred Clinshaw on his boat, right? So we are the gateway drug. We are bringing people in and then showing them these other options and opportunities in their backyard, oceans of opportunity, or whale watching, or going to the Channel Islands with island packers. So we are a liaison for this outdoor industry in our backyard with limited resources, but again, just the passion to try to showcase and share that with everybody is what we do,
Yeah, it was cool to see those the videos and photos you said. As I said, they'll be at the end of this podcast, so stay tuned. There's just a few of them, but you can see Kevin at work.
And I did get up to do the luau dance too. Nobody wanted to get up there, so I had to jump up there.
You're the one that started?
And get up there and do my little hip shaking.
Did you get people to join you?
Another guy's like, I can't let Kevin go up there by himself, so he jumped up, and then they pulled a lady up, and then we were up there doing a little.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, I jumped up there to break the ice.
Good for you. All right, so this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, you've got a trip you're taking. Let's talk about, there's 2 trips or just one overnighter?
We have two trips
this weekend.
So, actually, I have like 4 trips this week. So Thursday we're taking Phoenix junior high school out to the Wainimi Pier. So Wednesday I'll be there doing my clinic style on their campus, and then Thursday they'll come to the pier, and then we'll do our pier fishing thing. It's pretty neat. And then Friday I'm cooking on the Gentleman to make some little extra side cash.
The gooey cheeseburgers.
Gooey delicious cheeseburgers and that sunrise surprise breakfast burrito. You better come get one. And then I get off the boat, run around the harbor, and set up for the Blue Carpet premiere at the Maritime Museum. It starts at 6:00. And then Saturday, one of the showcases that we have on our Blue Carpet premiere is when we went with the National Park Trust and NOAA to Texas. And then I did one with them in Monterey, but I didn't film that one. Somebody else actually came out and filmed that one. I wonder how that one's looking. And then they're going to come out, and we're going to take some of our guppy and our rangers and some people that they've recruited from this area out on the Gentleman. So I've been on the Gentleman 2 days, cooking one day, and then helping out on Saturday with our, with the National Park Trust and families. And then Sunday we have our Spooktacular on the Wainimi Pier, where this is the end of our family fishing days for 2024. And this is where you get to come out and fish in your Halloween costumes and have a costume contest and stuff. So yeah, we got a pretty hectic. And then Thursday night after the kid fishing day, I'll be at the Latino Business Expo. So you can see why I say I need a little break.
Yeah, exactly.
After October.
Kevin needs a vacation, folks. He does. But I don't know if he can take one. He just needs one.
I just need to, right now, that's why our and I talked about this, our mascot is an octopus, because I do have a lot of tentacles moving. I do juggle a lot, as Nipsey say, and, but it's all symbiotic. So they do have a purpose, how they're interlinked with each other, to showcase again how I have to work on another boat, because it does supplement my income, because the nonprofit director salary that we're bringing in right now with our staffing capacity, but it gives us a chance to pilot these other programs, so that as we go in front of like probation in the county of Ventura and other organizations, that Community Kevin as an inventor, that I could take these same programs and ideas and showcase them in different communities. And then, so it has a necessariness to it, but hopefully by 2025, I'll have like a regular set schedule, doing all these things, and I don't have to move so many things around just to try to help make an income for a guy in California to live and be able to do all this stuff. But I do love it, but yeah, you got to know when to back off a little bit.
Unfortunately, it does take a little bit more than love sometimes, and that's you, and especially when you're maxed out like you are. I just cannot believe how much work you've put into this. I don't know anybody who works harder. Even the guy whose name I forgot from American Idol. Who's the host of American Idol?
Ryan Seacrest.
That guy was the hardest guy in showbiz, but I think this guy beats him. So.
But I think Ryan though also has the funds where he
does.
He produces, again, that's what we're trying to get to, investment style, right? Like he invests into the Kardashian show, so his money's making money for him. He has to stay relevant, but he's making dough on the other side. He has his same with us in our merchandise, right? We're trying to find ways to make extra streams of revenue, so he could pick and choose what shows he wants to do now, but you do got to work hard and then have his money reinvest for himself, and then just being out there a household name, but on the side though he's still collecting his scratch and well found investments, man.
That's why I say you're the harder worker.
Yep.
Ryan, you got it easy. Okay, so speaking of next year, you have 12 episodes planned, 12 episodes to 12 21-minute episodes. You want to talk a little bit about those?
So again, what we're trying to showcase here with this Blue Carpet premiere, there are certain standards in television, right? So some of the stuff that we film with me holding the camera and bad audio, Discovery Channel will reject it as soon as they see it, right? So if we can show that we can film and produce quality, clean, audio included episodes, that we can start getting it on higher platforms, right? Or finding more sponsors like Bass Pro. Like right now you'll see, this Guppy segment is brought to you by, the port. We move cargo. But ideally that would be like a great place for a Walmart or a Bass Pro shop to insert to be a segment sponsor to help us get funding to help us film, but also help us cover some of the cost on television until we're picked up and bought by somebody that says, hey, we'll cover all the cost, and here's here's your percentage, and here's your camera guy's percentage, and here's that, to get to that point. So we could do these 21-minute episodes, right? So we have our one-offs, we do the educational film that are going to be on top of it, but we really want to put together 12 complete 21-minute episodes, quality, network quality episodes, on top of the Real Guppy Outdoor stuff that we got going on, and me going into schools and, still getting out and doing some networking. But 2025, I'm really going to be focused more on campus visits, getting onto career days and teaching entrepreneurship versus, being at all these expo events. I think Becky's going to take over the Chamber of Commerce breakfast on the Friday mornings, and I'm going to spend more time juvenile hall, probation, where I could really be more impactful in these.
You've made a big impact there already.
Yeah, but designating more time, not my spare time, where it's more of my priority time.
Right. So that makes sense. I like that idea.
I thought I heard something.
I think it was just my foot hitting the chair. Sorry. But I think that's smart. So you got 12 episodes planned out throughout the year.
And that's all over California. So again, talking about the 3 in Bishop, and we already got the plug up there. Santa Barbara, go fish with events with Jurassic Sport Fishing, whether pocket fishing or something outside of that. San Diego, a shark fishing trip, a couple of freshwater trips. So we do have a crab fishing one or the lobster one that we're going to do like we did before. So we do have our 12. So they're different type of fishing in every episode all throughout California. I think I said the Bay. If I didn't say the Bay, going up there and fishing for sturgeon or halibut or stripers or something up there with a couple of guides that we know from up there, and then really showcasing Real Language Fishing Show California and getting stretched out. So that's why, again, these production funds that we get from Daiwa and AFCO, and even some of the money I make at the schools, investing that back in, like Ryan Seacrest, back into my show. So that way, again, you could see this quality. And we have a couple of, we have a student that's coming in from VACE, which is Ventura County, vacational school. So he already editing and already filming. We don't have to train him. He's already a filmmaker.
Nice.
So he'll be taking part. He did 3 of the videos that you're going to see coming out, like the ICAST video and the one we did at Santa Cruz Island, and a species identification one. So he's been working on little projects to kind of get his toe in the door. And then we have Carlo or James that could come on the road with us as well. So we have our filmmaker, our editor, and then we could produce these films and all over California and have some fun. So that way we're not asking for favors or something that I could really compensate those that are doing the work. So that way if there's deadlines that are wrapped up to it, there's a quality expectation on it, versus asking for a favor or somebody volunteering their time. You really don't get that same. It's hard to be so demanding when you're or is your standard when people are just donating their time, and we're at a level now where that's not the way to do business any longer.
Yeah, you're right. And by the way, if you're watching this podcast wondering about the quality of the podcast, it's just a podcast. We do this weekly. We do it from an iPhone. It's just to get the word out there and keep things going, keep you all in the know. But if you look at his professional stuff, it's
but also we've had the professionals. So again, where we're at, like if you could see, like we have our switchboard here. Look, we have all the gear here. We just have the worst internet
on the planet
because this Channel Islands harbor has been falling apart. So we have like HughesNet, which is like 5 point something. So we can't, like, we have these cameras right here, right? Well, you can't see them because all the cables, but we have these cameras. But if we turn those on, it's so pixelated that you can't see.
It's not worth it.
Right. So instead of saying, hey, let's just wait until we have the ideal situation, now we're just going to experiment. Well, what we do have, continue to bring it so you can see the concept and the idea. We have great quality guests and
terrific quality guests. Our guests, I was just talking about that the other day, about how I cannot believe the level of guests that you get to come in here. And these people are intelligent, they're charming, they're funny.
They all have a story.
They all have a story, and I love the way you get the stories out of them, by the way, especially the ghost stories.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing. So yeah, so we do this
we had
weekly for that purpose.
We had a couple of teary-eyed guests that come out and start talking about those stories.
About their mom, their grandma, or something like that. Yeah.
With the guy from the redemption jigs and stuff. Yeah, we do it, man. But yeah, that's it, man. Just giving it a try and going after it with our limited resources to showcase again if we had. And again, not just so much that we had it. That's why we call it a partnership, because we know we have the proof of concept, right? This is a Shark Tank moment, and you say, hey, look, man, this is the best I could do out of my house and out of my garage. If I was to have a shark come in and we can expand on it, and you get a percentage and we get a percentage and we're working together, that's what we're showcasing, right? Our proof of concept and our units, and we're moving it, and that, again, with some support. But again, we bring an ROI too. We're trying to bring, we want you to get value out of what we're bringing, right? So for our niche is to bring new people to your product. That's what we do. That's different than again, the guys that are no disrespect, but like, again, I used to be a personal trainer working in the gym, right? So when Jay Cutler and these guys are on Muscle Tech, talking about their protein, you already have guys that are going to come up and take photos with them, and they're going to love that. They're going to spend their money every week on protein and pre-workout and juice or whatever it is that they need, right? We're trying to get Mrs. Jones that I was trying to get to go to the local supplement store right here across the street from the gym and say, look, you do need a little bit of pre-workout. This is why you need it. You do need some protein to rebuild your muscle. You do need some muscle, to help your body and metabolism burn fat at homeostasis when your body's at rest. So trying to get those new anglers in to start those new family traditions fishing, and that's what our niche is, so we try to bring a value and say, yeah, these are the people that endorse us. We endorse them. We don't just go out after everybody, that we actually believe in the products that we partner with, right? We don't have anybody we haven't approached anybody that we didn't see a value and a similarity in the mission that they had to partner with us.
You're smart about that. You don't take everything that's thrown at you. You think twice about it. You make sure that it fits your mold, your concepts, your morals, and you run with it after that. And that's you got to do it that way. That's the only way to do it. And that's what keeps this thing pure and consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that. Pure and consistent.
What else you got on that?
That's pretty much. You wanted to talk about some equipment, you said, or do we?
Oh no, just we had some. We have a bunch of gear that's been donated, and we're going to go through that. And we even have a guy that's going to come in and start looking at our gear prior to our tackle sale, because we have some great antique stuff and jigs that are probably more high value instead of just like getting them in, taking what the kids need and getting rid of it. We do have some great antique gear that we're going to start going through, and we have quite a bit of that. If you look in our learning center, it's kind of wrapped around in here. But once we get through October into November, then we're going to use those 2 months to get our gear all ready for next year, for 2025. We have some new board members that have been on standby, some new volunteers, some people that have come and gone. Because let me just put this part out there too, man. Sometimes, we had the other day I was talking to Marshall, and because I got into it with another gentleman, and it was like, if you get mad at me, that's fine. Because, poor, mean Kev. No, man, there's an organization that has to be run here. And sometimes, again, when you're asking for favors and volunteerism and things that happen, and you have a standard, some people think that since they're just helping, that they don't have to live up to the standard, that I'm supposed to take whatever time they want to give me. So when I speak up on that, then it's just poor mean Kev. He's just out here being mean. And man, this is we got to run this as a business.
It's got to run.
You got to run a certain way. And just because, so that's why one other reason right now looking for capacity is that we know that we need a staff. We need certain staff individuals to be at events. We need certain staff members to be here. There are certain things that we need that you can't ask for volunteers and favors no more. There's a capacity level that I remember when my good friend Roberto told me. And also active, right? If you are going to come in and volunteer, you got to be active. This ain't a kick it spot, right? And if I bring that up to some people and they get a little upset and feathers get ruffled, then I just have to be, I guess I'm just the mean bad guy because I'm trying to hold an expectation, right?
You're the boss, and it's your vision, and it's your, and by the way, I say his vision, but he will always thank his team or appreciate his team and tell that they're as much a part of it as he is. But that being said, you have to make those decisions, and sometimes you come off as harsh, and and that's sometimes the only thing people will listen to.
Executive decision,
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to be willing to do that, and that's okay too. When we were talking with our interns the other day, right? Because sometimes I figure where you're developed at, like again, I think you should be at a certain level. Right? And you don't have, I'd rather you come to me and say, hey, I gave it my best and I gave it a try, then, I just waited for you because I didn't know what to do. I think there's a parable from the Bible, right? Where he gives you a talent and he goes, the guy with 5 talents and the guy with 3 talents and the guy with 1, and the one that just sat on the talent and waited for him to come back, he took it from him, where you give that's part of the development is like, yeah, I want to see you take care of it. Like, don't modify the recipe all crazy without running it through me, because that could be a problem, right? We have a standard, there's a method to my madness, but if you think that if you're just waiting for me to give you an answer, I think that you're at, and the way I come at it with is like, bro, don't you kind of know like where you should be at with that? Like, don't you? Because I guess I'm testing your confidence too in a certain degree, right?
Sure.
Like, do I give you enough leeway, and are you confident enough in the decisions that you make? Because then I could take that answer, right? Like, hey, I was confident, Kev, that this would work. Hey, I like that answer, right? And maybe that's what I like to see more of versus, parachuting or what's that called, when helicoptering around and dictating and micromanaging versus giving people authority and opportunity and responsibility for them to deliver,
a learning experience.
And that's my style,
Yeah.
And again, it's and sometimes that might come off a little harsh. And I do my own little self-inventory to make sure, am I just being mean? Am I just, because I know the way it is and the way it works. And then I got to be like, no, man. I mean, my manager, Eddie, man, sometimes he would have to get on us. And it was just the fact, again, I guess there's a consistency too, right? You could tell if somebody is just getting on you because they can see that you're laxing, right? And again, hey, Kev, weren't you supposed to make those pre-calls? You're like, he got me. Dang it. You know, where, yeah, that was my obligation. And my manager's not really being mean. He just calling me out on the stuff that I'm supposed to take care of.
Right.
And I might take it at first like, oh, you just being a jerk, man. Come on, man. You got to let that one slide. And it's like, well, if I let everything slide, then you're going to get too lax and comfortable. So sometimes I got to be firm in my manager, and becoming a manager now, seeing that maybe every time that they come to do a little correction, it ain't always, not to be so defensive. That again, that's part of the manager style that you have to take on. That sometimes you just got to be straight out and blunt with folks. And again, but when you have volunteers or people that are donating, they don't want to take that. They don't want to hear that.
There's a balance, but you're good at that too. For the most part.
Well, I'm one of the coolest guys out here, man. We do is give stuff away for free, you know? Yeah.
All right, we got to get out of here because Kevin's got to get something to eat. But let's go over some stuff real quick. So tonight, Tuesday, the 22nd, is the mixer at Limoni Soul for the Latino Business Expo.
I won't be there though. I got my last church class, my Compass Ministry, trying to about biblical finance. So this is my last class.
Oh, good. Okay, well that you got to do that. But Adam will be there, of course, and then the Business Expo itself is Thursday. What time does that start? Do you know off the top of your head?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
We have to be set up by 3, 4 to like 7
on Thursday, and you can get tickets online.
Yep, and that's at the Ventura Fairgrounds, right out there at the end of the Harbor Boulevard. You know, you keep going past the Ventura Point, where the fair's at, right there, Ventura Fairgrounds.
And it's always a lot of fun, and also a lot of good place to network and meet people. And then on Friday we have the Blue Carpet Premiere #3.
Yep.
And that's at the Maritime Museum here in Port Hueneme.
The Channel Islands Harbor in Oxnard, and that is at the Maritime Museum, Channel Islands Maritime Museum. It's going to be great. They're going to have docents downstairs so people could kind of walk through and look at the art and check that out until it's time for people to start getting settled in upstairs. They're going to ring the bell, send anybody upstairs. We have our refreshments that you'll have, our gummy worms and goldfish crackers and popcorn and some waters and maybe a little booze. They might pour a little wine and then go upstairs, and we'll do that. And that starts at 6 o'clock, showtime about 6:45. Let people get comfortable in their seat, do some networking themselves, check out some beautiful pieces of art at the Maritime Museum, and then that goes until about 8 o'clock.
And then, there are tickets available for that, or is that just a free
just go to
public
event? Yeah, go to Community Kevin. I mean, it's free for everybody, but if you go there to register, we got about 40 seats out, and we have our little Gucci bags that you'll get to take home.
Very nice.
With some port swag and some of our swag and the new workbook, Coastal Critters and stuff. So it's definitely
worth it to sign up on Eventbrite.
Okay.
We know. All right, very good. And did I miss anything here?
Yeah, and then Sunday is our Spooktacular end of the
that's a big one.
End of the year at Port Hueneme Pier from 8 to 11:30. You do have to be there to win the costume contest.
That's fair.
That way, we had a headless horseman that would have won one year, but he went home at like 10 o'clock. So I think we gave it to the walking hot dog, and I think he won. But yeah, you'll get a new rod and reel combo first place, and a winner take all in the girls, winner take all in boys, and then winner take all in adult. So
very nice.
1, 2, 3.
And that's always a very popular event, isn't it? People show up for that one, right?
Yeah, that's one of our favorites. Hopefully we catch like a spider crab, and then we have some other goodies from Foster VC that comes out and gives some little trick or treats, and you'll get some tattoos and stickers, and then that's how we finish the 2024 season on the Port Hueneme Pier.
Very cool. All right, so Barry says, as always, we'll see you next week. Do we have a guest lined up next week, or are we just going to play it by ear?
That's a good question, Aguado.
We're playing it by ear, in other words.
I think we do, though.
Okay, all right. Well,
I'm
you'll
just trying
find
to
out
get through
next
October,
week.
man.
Yeah. All right, folks. Thanks for watching as always, and Kevin and Barry, take us out.
Let's go.
What is missing is I don't see any fishing or boating industry brands or the state of California Conservation Agency on there. It's a great opportunity. You don't necessarily have to go out and build some fishing community where you're located. It probably already exists in some fashion. You just haven't thought about how to plug your fishing business into that community and the thing that makes that community.
Texas. That's right, Community Cabin on the road with National Park Trust and some more of our friends at NOAA, which is the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. Some people don't know what NOAA stands for. We're going to throw it out there, so I'll break it down. Everything from their fisheries management to their sanctuary and
Brought to you by AftCo Fishing Apparel and Tackle, designed to perform. Channel Islands Sport Fishing, offering deep-sea fishing on quality sport fishing charter boats, and more. Costa Sunglasses. Discover life's greatest adventures with Costa. See what's out there. Daiwa. If you want innovation and quality in your fishing products, Daiwa has what you need. Promar and Ahi USA. Premium fishing products and accessories with concepts developed by passionate anglers. Eagle Claw, American ingenuity and craftsmanship since 1925. Mudhole, the world's largest inventory of rod building and tackle crafting components from the best brands. Mossy Oak, from hot days in the water to sweltering afternoons in the woods, we've got you covered. Outfit your obsession. Special thanks to Subaru of Ventura and the Latino Business Expo. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.